TEALS is a program we believe first, and I think someone mentioned this in the previous panel as well, in school versus after school. That definitely makes a difference in terms of the number of people and the type of people, students that can access the program. So which is why as TEALS as a program, we strongly try to emphasize the in-school element and have, the way that our model works is we ask the schools to set aside the first period so that our volunteers can come in and teach computer science and then go to their day jobs. So the in-school element is one. To answer the second part of your question had, how do we go to Fresno? How do we go to Central Valley in general? That's an area that we're experimenting with as well. We have 19 schools across the country, largely in Washington State, that we work with as a part of our rural distance program. So it's a remote teaching program, essentially. And what we do is we have volunteers that are based in typically the closest cities, or sometimes not even the closest cities to where the schools actually are. And we have them, again, paired up with the schools. The schools typically have some sort of technology in place to be able to support that remote teaching. There is still a very strong classroom teacher in place who is sort of learning the computer science aspect of things and handling the classroom management, but the volunteers provide that additional experience. And it's talking about providing an intentional computer science experience or crafting an intentional computer science experience. That's where the volunteers come in and provide their industry relevance to the program. So that's something that we're trying, and we've had some success over the last few years with that, and we'd love to expand that to California as well. We've already started having some conversations with some schools that have sort of indicated some interest here. Pacifica, for example, is an area where potentially we could try something there. I think that's definitely an area that we need to think of. People often think of diversity as race, ethnicity, gender, which are all very crucial and very important, but there's geographical diversity to be thought of as well.
I think a really important component is that the movement for CS for All has to take on a certain set of belief systems that are so deeply associated with the task of computer science. And we found this in a research that we did in LA schools, that teachers and principals would often say, well, you can just tell the kids that are really interested in it. They're the ones that they're just naturals. They just have this innate talent. And when we did more investigation and research, a lot of those kids were the ones that had what we call a preparatory privilege at home, which is they have the resources and they have the opportunities outside of school. And then they come into school and they sit in the AP classes or whatever, and everyone then thinks they're natural. And the other kids, and we also heard this, was that the other kids, their interest and their ability was doubted. And then often, classes would be canceled because there would be this belief that those kids were not up to it. And in the field of computer science, there is such a deeply ingrained image of who does it. It's the white males of Steve Jobs and why am I blanking on all the other ones? Mark Zuckerberg. But all of them. It's a very deeply ingrained image. And this is infused in all adults and also in the kids themselves. And so the challenge of belief systems is going to be really important to make this a success. And I also believe that having teachers of color, if we're going to reach kids of color, teachers of color who understand these kids that we want to reach, life experience, what they're going through, what turns them on, what they find exciting in life and empowering, that's going to be really important, and having assignments connected to their interests. So it's a whole web of things that are going to have to be addressed, not only having the courses there and having the teachers, but having a change in pedagogy, a change in the teachers, and having a real way to talk about these belief systems that are associated with computer science.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the word of the conference here today, demystifying computer science education. That was a personal challenge to mention the word demystify because, you know, that's really what it's all about. Demystifying who learns computer science, demystifying who teaches computer science. And so school leaders need to have some demystifying as well in their considerations of what computer science is. I would challenge the school leaders here to take a look at the demographics of who is currently taking computer science in your schools. Is that reflective of the school population of the students that you are serving? At code.org, that's really our goal. The goal is that the courses that are being offered at the schools reflect the population of the students who are at the schools. And so really equity is a key piece. I did have a conversation with somebody in Fresno a couple weeks ago, so I wanted to mention Fresno. And you know, it comes back to the challenges that we had addressed earlier. They're struggling to find just math teachers and science teachers and going to foreign countries to find those teachers. And so for them, as they think about it, they're thinking about how do we work with Cal State Fresno and potentially some of these new programs related to developing supplemental authorizations so more teachers that already exist within the system can be empowered, can be given the tools to teach computer science. But it's not a simple problem that we're trying to address, particularly as we look at some of those rural pockets. So with Code.org, we have 6 regional partners in California, the 3 that I mentioned in Northern California. We also have 1 in Los Angeles, 1 in San Diego County, and 1 in Riverside County. But my personal challenge is to identify that partner in the Central Valley and also in the greater Sacramento area because we want as many students as possible to have these opportunities.
So, and Dr. Curry, maybe you could talk about a little bit what you're doing already at San Jose State in terms of teacher preparation and recruitment, maybe even if there's even scholarships available for students like this.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have scholarships.
So
we are working on the computer science education program that I just mentioned. We believe that one of the solutions is just to train teachers, because once you train teachers, they're going to go and teach computer science. At San Jose State, we have a department called Math Education. I believe that 5-10 years from now, in computer science, we're going to have a department called Computer Science Education. And Fresno State will have a computer science education, and they are going to teach. They are going to train teachers who are going to teach computer science in Fresno. And this is how computer science is going to be taught and also well taught in all other districts of California.